Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast. This is episode number 345. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today, we got Kevin Rickshaw. Hey, Kevin.
Hey.
It's Thanksgiving time once again.
Yeah.
You got big plans, big family plans. Are you hosting? Are you hosting the Thanksgiving?
You're damn right I am.
All right. Well, okay. Whoa.
Every year. This is my time of the year. This is like my favorite day.
Oh yeah?
Fucking amped.
Were you always like a big Thanksgiving person, or is that something that?
No, I think it's relatively new. It's when I started hosting it. That's when I got into it. Non-stop cooking.
Now, do you have like a traditional Thanksgiving spread, or do you mix it up, do something crazy, or a little bit of
traditional.
Both? Traditional. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much, mostly traditional. Yeah.
Are you one of these like deep fried turkey people?
No. I do dry brine. Dry brine it for a couple days beforehand.
I'm also not one of these deep fried turkey people. I don't really get that.
It's too much work.
Yeah. This week on the show, we'll be getting into the Thanksgiving spirit by discussing a holiday-themed movie, Blood Rage, from 1987. Of course.
Blood Rage.
Slasher.
Nightmare Shadow Woods.
Yeah. Many titles on this one. Many titles. We'll also be talking about someone watching on the watch list and going over this week's new releases in theaters, VOD, and Blu-ray. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember to consider reviewing us on iTunes if you get a chance. That'd be amazing. I hope everyone in the United States has a wonderful Thanksgiving this week. And for everyone else, I hope you have a good week. Just a good regular week.
Yeah, just good stuff happens.
For me, it's pretty much going to be
work and all that.
Yeah. For me, it's going to be pretty much a regular week, except I get off Thursday and Friday, so.
Well, you want to come eat some turkey? I can pick you up. I got a Amtrak right by my house.
We'll be doing something. I don't know what, though. I'm going to try to do something. Only one housekeeping item, Saved by the 90s. I mentioned it last week. It is going to be coming out this week. I'm shooting for Wednesday for the release date for that. As a reminder, we talk about 4 Thanksgiving-themed movies this month and 2 TV shows, so keep a lookout for that. Again, that's on its own feed, so you can just search for Saved by the 90s on your podcast platform. With that, I think we can dive into our retro review. Blood Rage is what we're talking about. I have a synopsis here. As kids, Todd is institutionalized for a murder whilst his twin goes free. 10 years later on Thanksgiving, Todd escapes and a killing spree begins in his neighborhood. Now, this is directed by John Grissmer. This synopsis attempts to hide the fact that Todd is not the killer, but I mean, they let you know right off the bat, like this isn't a whodunit. We're not looking at, there's no twists going on here. Like they lay it out all for you right in the beginning. It's his brother. It's his twin brother, Terry, who is the killer of the two. Kevin, we'll start it with you. What were your initial thoughts on Blood Rage?
Blood Rage it's kind of fun. It's also a bit of a messy. It's a lot of random stuff just happening, and especially the chronology of the things that people decide to do at any given moment. It's kind of bizarre. And I don't know if that's because, you're dealing with a movie here that's been cut how many different times and recut and, it has 3 different titles and it was released how many different times. So I don't know, like, if the version that we saw is that 100% like the way it was supposed to be, as it was envisioned.
Yeah, I think that the version we saw was the one on Shudder. I think that one was I think that's like the original director's cut. I don't think that's one of the weird edits that happened.
Okay.
I think that's as close.
Because there's so many where there's like one scene taken out and then another version where like all the gore sequences were taken out.
Mm-hmm.
And then like someone found some of those and like tried to piece it all back together. But either way, it's a bit of a mess. There's some interesting choices, though, being made. I was actually taken by some of the performances, especially Mark Soper, who plays the 2 twins.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was pretty fantastic. After a certain point, I mean, he was a little bit back and forth quality wise. But then there comes a point where he just totally, like, his role as Terry.
Mm-hmm.
There comes a point where he just like full on becomes Terry, and he's just like, I'm killing now. I'm having fun, and he does it with such an alacrity to it that it made it so much more fun because he's super jovial about it. He's just having the time of his life, finally being who he wants to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he's holding back. He's like holding all of his homicidal tendencies in for 10 years, and then all of a sudden he finds out that his brother escaped from the institution, and he's like, oh, okay, well, I can just start killing again and just blame it on old Todd.
Yeah.
and I do like when he does decide to just reveal himself. It's funny, this movie, it seems like it would be an easy thing to do where you get the two of them mixed up. They're identical twins. One of them's a killer, one of them's not. So it seems like that would lend itself to, like, one of them pretending to be the other, and that kind of trope. But they don't really do that. There are like certain sequences where someone mistakes one for the other, but they never try to be the other one. They always pretty much just play themselves in it.
Which and I don't know if that's a missed opportunity.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I don't either. I don't think it necessarily is, because we've seen that happen so many times, the evil twin, Yeah. But maybe it could have lent itself to some interesting sequences. But I mean, as it stands, this is your pretty standard slasher movie. It's just Terry's going around killing people. Todd's trying to stop him, and the mom.
But is he?
Yeah.
Is he though?
Really,
like, what is Todd doing?
Todd's a blank slate. He's just wandering around this apartment complex.
He's just terrified. I mean, it doesn't seem like that big of a complex, so I don't know why he's having such a difficult time finding people.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because, I mean, Terry's maneuvering in and out of this thing. Because I love the fact, too, that Terry is taking full advantage of Todd being back. He's making the most of it. He's going to kill as many people as possible. Because he just starts killing people like you don't even know why they're there. Like, why are they there? Who are these people? It doesn't matter. They're there to get killed by Terry.
Yeah, he goes beyond just killing like his friends too. He just kills anybody. Just anybody he comes across, they're dead.
I just love that he has a machete.
Yeah,
it's just him and his machete.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has.
Why not?
He does have a variety of tools that he uses. A variety of murder implementations. But the machete is the go-to, certainly. And he loves to...
He feels at home with the machete.
He does, and he loves to quip that the blood all over the machete is not cranberry sauce. He says that line no fewer than 5 times in this movie. It's not cranberry sauce. He says it 5 times.
And I love that. I'm pretty sure 3 of those are to himself. There's no one else around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. So you have Louise Lasser as the mom. She's another character who sort of makes a transformation in this. In the beginning, she's relatively normal. And then after she discovers that Todd broke out of the institution, and then really after she discovers that the killings have started again, she just loses her mind. And it's kind of hilarious, but there's a couple sequences involving her where they just linger like way too long. The phone thing where she's trying to get help and she's on the phone and she's just like, what is going on with this scene?
It's weird because that scene lasts way too long. It doesn't really, like, I'm not sure what they were doing there also, outside of just, recognizing that she's trying to get help. But also, like, that's where she does her most acting. Like, that's when she really, like, delivers a performance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was her showcase, was that phone call. So I don't know, maybe she was just trying to make the most of it. Because other than that, it's just her, like, drinking wine, getting super drunk, passing out. But then also being, like, somewhat sober not too long later, which I found odd, how she just, like, her trajectory of sobriety and drunkenness is just, it was back and forth, just ping-pong.
Yeah, she's a little nutty in this. So this movie was part of the Joe Bob Briggs Last Drive-In Marathon last Thanksgiving, and in it he says that she's telephonically frustrated. I thought that was really funny. Uh, telephonically frustrated. It's I never quite understood the motivations of Terry, like why, like I never really bought what he was selling me with this kind of psychopathic killer thing, because it seems like when they were kids, so the movie opens with them as young kids. They're at the drive-in with their mom and her mom's boyfriend, and they're in the back, and the mom and the boyfriend start making out at the drive-in, as one does, and they just decide to run around, and Terry grabs a hatchet and kills somebody. Like, she just decided to do it. And I don't know if it was the later on when they show the mom kissing the new boyfriend, it seems like that was sort of a trigger for him.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I don't really. So we're led to believe that he never saw his mom kissing her new boyfriend previously. Like, it's just, I don't know. I also have a hard time believing if he's like a psycho killer, I don't know if he'd be able to like suppress those urges for that long without killing.
Yeah. It seems like they have a number of things that they want to discuss, but they just have no idea how to do it,
Yeah.
or they just don't really do it at all, because it does seem like that's a trigger for him, because the first person that he kills is a teenager having sex with his girlfriend, and most of the people that he kills later is, they're engaged in some part of, a sexual interaction
Hmm.
outside of like the two people that are searching for him,
Yeah.
that he just doesn't want. He needs to get rid of them. But so it seems like that's a trigger, and that's something that's an issue for him. But I don't know why. Like, we have no idea why. And I don't know if it's also between Todd and Terry, where they have, I guess, vying for their mother's affection. So I don't know if maybe Terry was just trying to get rid of Todd that way. But that never really comes across. It just, that's why when I say that it's messy in so many of those ways where it seems like it has something to say or wants to say something, but it's just absolutely terrible at it. And then Mark Soper's just making up for it by just having a delightful time killing people.
There's so much nudity. There's a lot of nudity in this movie, but I like the couple, the guy that he kills at the beginning in the drive-in. They're the two of them. Now, as I said, we know that the drive-in is like a makeout spot, because it's a little bit more intimate, it's a little bit more private. You're in your car, but it's still a public place, and there's still
Hmm.
light. There's still lights, and I'm sure that this has happened before in drive-in scenarios, but I doubt that it happens a lot where a couple is fully naked. Like, they were fully naked in their car when he came up and killed
Yeah,
the boyfriend.
there's not even a blanket over, nothing.
No. And then when he kills two of his friends, they're fully naked. They were out in playing tennis, and
This is my favorite part of this, because this is very bizarre to me, is the inclusion of that woman who's back from college or whatever, and she ends up with that guy. So they go back to her room to make out, and they're going for a while. You know what they're doing, but you don't see them. The camera cuts to them for a small scene, just to show that they're completely naked in bed making out. You're like, okay, we get it. We know what they're up to. So the other two friends are looking for him, like, oh my God, what happened? Did Todd get him? Did Todd kill him? So they come in. She's laying on the bed like she's dead. And she gets up and spooks him. She has this elaborate facial makeup, whatever the hell, like monster
yeah.
effects on her face to scare. So at some point, they were making out completely naked. I don't know if this is like post-quota or what, but they decided to like heavy makeup on her face to make her look like a ghoul or something in order to scare people, their two friends. And then after that, they decide to go play tennis, even though they're completely hammered. Well, wait, no, they took a shower first, and then they went to play tennis, which is just bizarre to me. And then they leave tennis to go to the pool and have sex. Just everything that happens on that timeline with those two people is just insane to me.
Yeah. And then they're at the pool fully naked. Public pool.
Fully naked on the diving board.
Yeah.
And I love that Terry just walks up and he's like, hey, stop that.
Well, there's also a shower scene when one of them is in the shower and there's no door, there's no curtain or anything, and it's in full view of the outside. So it's like her shower just points to a full-length window that leads directly outside into the apartment like area.
Why not?
It's so egregious, the exploitation that's happening here. It's hilarious, actually. The special effects in this, I thought, were pretty damn good for being a relatively low budget slasher movie. There's some pretty intense stuff that happens here. You got some decapitations. You got somebody, one of the women, I think it was his doctor. Was it? Yeah. Pretty sure it was Todd's doctor who gets cut in half. So there's
Todd tries to put it back together.
Yeah.
Oh, Todd.
So there's some pretty good special effects makeup stuff going on here. Ed French was the guy who did the effects work, and he was actually in the movie. He was the guy who was got his head cut off. The guy who was on a date.
Oh, no.
He's the one on a date and gets his head cut off.
I'm just remembering the guy that got his hand cut off. And his hand was still moving a little bit and crushed up that can.
Yeah.
He also got his mind flayed.
He did, yeah. So that was the future stepdad. That was the mom's boyfriend / fiance who he was like the first one to get it. He was the first other than the opening scene.
He did not last long at all.
No. Gets his hand macheted off and then gets his skull split open.
Yeah, which, I mean, there is some disturbing stuff here, because not only does he do that, not only does Terry do that, but then, like, Terry poses him.
Yeah,
like
at his desk.
Deep in thought, working at his desk.
And
so
then
when his mom comes in, oh my God.
Yeah, his mom comes in and discovers him, but it's another scene that lingers on way too long with the mom just kind of standing there, just staring at him. There's like, I mean, it was a good scene. It was a good reveal because she comes in and there's like blood splattered all over the curtains, but she doesn't see that because they're like out of her peripheral or whatever. And we see all the blood and we see the corpse that's posed at the desk, but she doesn't. But it's just, they took way too long for that reveal. I was just like, come on. I knew that Terry was going to be a psycho when they were having Thanksgiving dinner and they did a toast and he had a glass of milk.
Yeah.
He did a glass of milk toast. I'm like, all right, come on now. We know that he's a fucking nut and he's toasting with a giant glass of milk.
And it's a tall glass too. Filled to the brim.
Filled to the brim.
Drink all of that milk in one sitting. He might have even had a glass beforehand. I'm sure he did. The fucking psychopath.
It's a very 80s movie. This was shot in 1983, I believe, but it didn't come out until 87. Lots of big hair in the Last Drive-In. Yeah. Joe Bob calls it State Fair hair.
It's I can never figure it out. Like, I don't know I can't determine the structure of it. It's always been perplexing to me.
Lots of hairspray. They used lots of hairspray back then.
But there's so many different things going on at the same time. And like that, the one woman's like her makeup, that was insane. Like 40. It was like 40 different colors of eyeshadow blended together.
Yeah, she was the new person, right? The person who just moved in. I also love how I think these people were supposed to be in college, I think, and
Yeah, and it was 40.
The one, the person you just mentioned, she looked so old. She looked like she was in her mid-40s. I'm just like, I'm not buying this whatsoever.
And I love it at the beginning. She talks about how, she's into tennis. I'm just like, okay, yeah, that's what you do when you're not partying. I get it. But you find out, like, she's really fucking into tennis because, like, in the middle of sex, she's just like, oh, how about we go play tennis? Want to go play tennis? And then they're playing tennis. There's a scene of them playing tennis. Why?
I don't know, but I love the shirt she was wearing in that scene. It was like one of those, is it a crop top? Is that what it's called? I think so. And it just says exercise on it. Which I really loved it. It was in those like great 80s font too. Exercise.
Oh yeah. That like laser jazz font. That's what it looks like to me. Looks like a jazzy laser wrote it.
Yeah, it's great. Apparently this apartment complex is still there. It's in Jacksonville.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Apparently the nature trails were in North Florida, University of North Florida.
Mm-hmm. That's
so you could go on a Blood Rage tour.
Yeah.
If you wanted to.
That's actually where my wife went to college.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, University of North Florida, Jacksonville.
Has she been on those nature trails?
I don't know. I didn't ask.
You gotta ask her.
You
have to show her. Because I do love that, as you said, that Terry has a kind of an assortment, a grab bag of weapons that he has at his disposal to kill people. And I love that he had them stored on the nature trail.
Yeah, they're just sitting there.
They're just like all gathered up. Like that was his rendezvous point for himself.
I did like that scene when he picks up the fork and he's just like admiring the fork and then he stabs his friend.
Stabs him. Cranberry sauce.
Yeah. Then we had the cranberry sauce line 4 times. And he said it earlier too. Oh boy. Yeah, this is it's a pretty fun time. I mean, it's not good. It's not super memorable or anything, but as far as 80s slashers go, it's up there. It's entertaining.
For me, it's not good. It is entertaining to a certain degree. It's not good, but I was kind of surprised to me that there was some interesting things, some like flashes of a good movie in there. Most notably, like I said, Mark Soper as Terry, when he just finally gets to be himself. Just the joy that it brought him. But I also, because we didn't get to speak about it yet, I did enjoy the ending. I thought the ending was it was
crazy.
Up.
It was crazy.
It was a fucked up ending. I was not expecting that because it's like partially a good ending, but not good. Like it's kind of a happy ending, but not at all.
Not really. I mean, so
yeah.
Let's just talk about the ending. So if you don't want the ending of Blood Rage from 1987 spoiled, just skip forward just a couple minutes. In the final showdown at the pool, you have and there's like a baby involved too, which is ridiculous. I love that scene when she's trying to hide the baby and she goes into the locker room of, because first of all, when they show her walking into the locker room, she's not like running or anything like that. She's just kind of sauntering. It's like she's not even concerned that Terry's like hot on her heels. So she strolls into this locker room and hides the baby in this like cabinet that has toilet paper in the bathroom of the pool, and she doesn't even close it all the way, and the baby's like blanket is sticking out from the bottom. So it's like, okay, you clearly are not hiding this baby at all. And then Terry comes in and she's hiding in a stall because of course that's where you hide when you're in a bathroom, and he doesn't find her. Somehow he doesn't find her.
Oh,
so anyway, you have the big finale at the end, and Todd and Terry are fighting, which by the way, I thought they did a really good job of masking
except I agree, except when I think they were pulling Todd from the water. Like,
yeah,
the hair it looked like the guy had gray hair. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, the hair was a little off
difficult
there.
to find? Is it that difficult to find like a kind of slender frame, like blonde, brownish hair. Like I would imagine in Florida, you could easily find that. But no, they get some guy that's like a tiny bit overweight with gray hair. I don't know if he was wearing a wig, and I don't know. But I found that funny.
I thought for the most part it was pretty good though. So they have their big showdown, and then it ends up being the mom that comes in and shoots him like a million times and saves the day. But here's the weird thing. So she doesn't know that she thinks that she just shot Todd. And it turns out, but the weird thing was, I swear when I was watching it, they yell Terry or something like that. And plus, just as a complete side note, going back to the very beginning, there's the scene after Terry kills the guy. He gives Todd the hatchet, and then he like smears blood all over him. And by this point, everyone's already standing around. Like everyone sees him do it. So it's like there should never have been a question as to who the culprit was here. But anyway,
yeah.
So the mom shoots Terry, and then she kills herself at the end.
Yeah, well, and there's that whole the buildup of like them, embracing each other, and they kind of having this breakdown, and everything. It's just me and you. It's just me and you. We're gonna make it. It's okay. It's just me and you, Terry. And Todd's just like, I'm Todd, because that's like all he could really do at any given point. And then her realizing, because that's like super fucked up, is it's still your son, but she's like, it's not the right one. Blows her brains out.
Yeah.
Which I don't like. Just wait like a couple of days, and you'll find out that Terry killed a shit ton of people.
Yeah, it's nuts. And also the doctor meets with her at the beginning and says, like, look, I don't think Todd did this. We think it was Terry. So
and my favorite thing about that too is that Todd, like, she saw Todd there. Todd is wearing the exact same clothes because he only really has one set of clothes, and that's what he's wearing. So, and their hair is different. So I don't know why you would get them confused at any point in time.
Yeah, exactly.
He's wearing the same outfit throughout.
Yeah. So you think that she would definitely know that it was Todd.
But she did. She fucking hated Todd. She couldn't stand him.
Yeah.
Couldn't stand Todd. And she was just, sitting right there next to that swimming pool. It's faced with the realization that she has to spend the rest of her life with Todd instead of Terry. Boom.
And
brains out. Get out of there. Get out of that situation real quick.
I'm surprised there were any bullets left in that gun, actually.
Yeah, she did shoot him a number of times.
It's a pistol with like 25 chambers.
I mean, poor Todd. I mean, most of his life is his brother hacked up a guy's face with a hatchet, smeared it all over him. And of course, Todd, he's also got to be confused as to, there was about 60 witnesses that saw Terry do this, and yet he's still in the asylum, and everyone thinks that he killed someone. That's got to be really confusing as a kid. And then you get out, you're just trying to get home. Your brother kills tons more people, and then your mom kills him, and then your mom blows her brains out when she figures out that it's not the right twin.
Yeah, he's in for it. He's in for a really rough life.
Yeah. I mean, that's just, I don't think he's coming back from that. He already had a deep hole to dig out of, but man.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Pretty rough for him. He's probably just going to go back to the asylum and just be like, all right.
It's probably better for him there. The only people that he knew, one of them was cut in half.
Yeah.
I mean, God.
Not a whole lot of, not too many Thanksgiving themed horror movies out there. This is one of very few. There's the Thanksgiving series, which I've never seen any of. They look pretty bad. They're like, it's about like a possessed turkey or something that kills people.
No, thank you.
And I think there was another 80s one called like Home Sweet Home or something like that. And I can't think of any other ones that are horror movies, at least.
Yeah.
Pilgrim, which was the Into the Dark one that I mentioned a couple weeks ago. that's pretty much it. Not too many. All right, what are you gonna give Blood Rage out of 10?
Man, this is tough. This is tough to like a 5 maybe.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go. I rated this on Letterboxd the first time I saw it a couple years ago, and I gave it a 2.5 on there. So I'll stick with that and say 5 out of 10. And that's Blood Rage again. That's on Shudder, and you can watch it. They have both versions. So they have the one without the Joe Bob stuff and the one with the Joe Bob stuff. I would recommend the one with the Joe Bob stuff because he's always great to have when you're watching a horror movie. All right, let's go over some of what we've been watching on the watch list. I believe it is your turn to go first, Kevin.
Oh yeah, we got a couple of Thanksgiving movies here.
Uh-oh.
So Rocky, 1976, Rocky, Thanksgiving movie. It's got a Thanksgiving scene in there. So we watched Rocky, Sylvester Stallone. Oh boy.
Okay.
Boxing movie. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen Rocky. Maybe I have. I don't know. But number one, I didn't realize that Talia Shire played Adrian. Didn't know that. And I also didn't realize that her character is like absolutely nothing of a character. Like she does nothing in this movie except lose a hat and yell out Rocky in a super crowded auditorium.
But he heard her.
I mean, it's just pandemonium there. And she's just calling out, and she's not even really yelling it that loud. She just kind of yells it out very meekly. So, and I mean, so much of this movie is hinged on, because, I mean, for the most part, there's not a whole lot of boxing in this movie. It's not really a boxing movie, except for that, you know, the ending. They build up to it, which I think they do a great job of building up to that. But so much of this movie is based on that relationship, right, between those two. And to me, that just, they didn't work at all because most of the beginning of that relationship is just Sylvester Stallone and what's his buddy's name, Paulie, just straight out harassing her, just fucking harassing her. Because Paulie takes a turkey. That's the Thanksgiving scene. He takes the turkey out of the oven, throws it in the alley. And he's like, "Get the fuck out of the house. Go on a date with him." So the beginning stages of this relationship are just awful. And then, them actually getting together, they don't really do that much. They just kind of sit together and don't really talk that often. And then, there's the whole big thing at the end where she loses her hat and goes running to him. And I'm just I'm just not feeling that section of the movie at all. But all the boxing stuff, I thought worked pretty well.
All
and
right.
it's fantastic looking. 1970s.
Yeah.
At that gritty, the working class.
And that's Rocky. Sticking with the Stallone theme, I saw the new Rambo movie this week, Rambo Last Blood. Finally caught up with this. This is not very good at all. I kind of liked the last Rambo a little bit more than this. I know that the last Rambo wasn't very well received either. I think it was just called Rambo, the last one. But this one, I don't know. There's something about it. I guess I didn't find the story to be very good at all. Not that I was going and expecting much of a story. The setup for the Rambo movies is always pretty thin. Like you have Rambo, he goes into a situation, he has a mission, and he has to carry out that mission. That's pretty much it. This one is a little bit different in that it's like a more personal story for him, and they try to bring in this PTSD stuff where he's still doing, he has a ranch and he's helping rescue people during this big storm and stuff at the very beginning, which I don't really know if we needed that scene, honestly. And he's having these flashbacks and stuff. He's on medication, and then we're introduced to his niece. She's just kind of in here. Apparently he's been really busy since the last movie, and he's got this whole ranch set up, and he's got a niece, and he's living with her grandmother. And then she decides that she wants to go meet her father. She never knew her father. and he's in Mexico, and Rambo's like, it's dangerous, don't go. You know, we are keeping you here because it's safe here. You don't want to go down there. He's bad news. And she's like, no, okay. But then she goes anyway. And she meets her father. He rejects her. Her friend, who is also down there, is like, hey, let's go, you know, forget about this. Let's go have some drinks. Somebody at this bar in Mexico roofies her, and she ends up being sold into sex slavery. And a large portion of the movie is Rambo trying to rescue her. And then it turns into this like revenge thing where Rambo goes after these people who took his niece. And it is now the last Rambo movie, which took place in Myanmar, was really, really violent. I mean, it was like really violent, more so than the other Rambo movies, like by a long shot. This one puts all of those to shame, puts the level of violence in this movie is out of control. Like, it is so gory and over the top. It is insane. Now, that's not to say I didn't enjoy myself watching it. I was just shocked at the level of violence in this. I mean, it almost goes to like horror movie territory. The way that he kills people, like he'll blow off somebody's head, but it won't be like clean. It'll like the bottom of their jaws still be there, and then he'll just shoot them again just for the hell of it. Like, so he'll blow their head off, and then he'll shoot them again in the chest and like blow a giant hole in their chest just because he can. And then there's like, yeah, there's a lot of other really intense scenes. Now, they're really, really intense, like crazy action doesn't happen until the very, very end of the movie. And it's like this maybe 15 to 20 minute action scene at the very end. And other than that, there's one other scene that takes place in Mexico where he's going after the guys, but it's really just that one big set piece, and which takes place like on his ranch, because you know he's Rambo, so he built this like intricate tunnel system under his ranch for some reason.
Of course he did.
Yeah,
of course he did.
Yeah, because you know he's like a prepper, so he lures all these guys into this tunnel system, and he has like traps set up, and there's actually 2 gearing up montages that happen like 2 minutes apart from each other, which is a little egregious. But overall, I do see the problems with this movie. I think that it's problematic on like just a political level. I don't think that he should have had like the big bad enemies that he's going up against, Mexico in this case, because I think that there's already enough, you know, strife happening between the border wall and all that nonsense. Yeah, I think that this just sort of fuels the fire, and I don't think it was a great decision to do that.
Well, I think that's the only reason those Rambo movies exist anymore.
For me, I tried to separate myself from the subject matter and just sort of enjoy it for a big dumb action movie. And I think that's the problem, is that it's trying to be more than a big dumb action movie.
Yeah.
I think that's where it falters quite a bit. Like, the dialogue is pretty atrocious, and it almost has like, you know, it's like they watched the movie Taken, and then they watched the John Wick movies, and they were like, let's do those, but just with Rambo. So if you're looking for some really intense, brutal violence, then Rambo: Last Blood might be worth a look. I would probably wait until it's like on Netflix or something, on a subscription service.
From what you were telling me, it sounds like really fucking disgusting.
It is pretty much, yeah.
No, thank you. Kind of the exact opposite of that is a movie called The Body Remembers When the World Broke Open. So this comes out the 27th, or it comes out at some point this week on Netflix. That's where it's going to show up. This is directed by Ellen Majaj Tailfeathers and Kathleen Hepburn. And this is just, you know...
Isn't this one of the Ava DuVernay ones?
Yes, correct. So this is kind of a pretty simple indie film. You have pretty much a two-hander. You have Violet Nelson, who plays this woman that leaves a situation, a domestic abuse situation. She's on the street. It's raining. She doesn't have any shoes on. She's kind of crying. Her face is beat up a little bit, and she's just kind of frozen there on the street. She doesn't know exactly what to do. Another woman comes and sees the situation that she's in and kind of helps her out and takes her back to her house. And then from there, it's just essentially the rest of the day from that point on. Just these two women trying to figure out. So the woman is trying to help her, is, trying to keep her from going back to the situation that she just got her out of, trying to find her a safe house, trying to help her out with her clothes and stuff. And she has her own things going on. And Violet Nelson, the woman escaping the domestic abuse, is she's kind of making excuses that, he's not like this most of the time. And most of the time he's a really nice guy and he doesn't really mean it. And another thing is that she's pregnant. So there's an added concern there that he's going to do it to the baby. And she's trying to, talk her into, you should go to a safe house, you should do this. And it's just this relationship that develops between the two of them, two complete strangers, over the course of a day. And I forget at what point it is. I think it might be after, when they get to the house, or at some point. I think I could be wrong, but to me it felt like it was a one shot from there on out. The large majority of this movie is just a one shot, just the camera trailing the two of them.
Yeah, I'm reading here that almost the entire film is shot in one take, although there were supposedly some hidden cuts in there.
Yeah, which I couldn't be, and it's not like in your face. It's not like they're showing off, oh my God, look at what we're doing. This is one shot.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't really realize it until you kind of you're like, hey, wait a second. I don't know if it's cut for a long time.
Yeah, I love it when that happens, where it's just, if it's a really organic thing where they're not drawing your attention to the fact that it hasn't cut yet.
Yeah, and it's weird because it's the way in which that you kind of come to that realization, they're taking that cab to this safe house and they make a stop along the way. She gets out to go do her thing. The other woman decides to get out while she's waiting, and the camera gets out before her, so you can, you can tell that there's someone holding the camera getting out of the cab to follow this person. But you would think something like that might take you out of the film. I didn't think it did. And that was the only time where I would kind of realize, hey, wait a second, I don't think they've cut. Have they cut at all? I know they did in the beginning, but that's what I mean. I think after 10 minutes maybe, I think from then on out it's a one shot.
Oh, that's great. Shot on 16 millimeter too.
Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal. I mean, and it's simple. It's just a relationship between two strangers dealing with some heavy subject matter, but there's some comedy in there. There's a little bit of everything going on.
And you said, when is this hitting Netflix?
This week. I think it's the 27th. I think that's what I read, but that's a Wednesday. I don't know if stuff comes out on Netflix on Wednesday.
It might.
Maybe.
It might. I think I have an email about this. I'll be sure to add it to our VOD calendar on the site.
I would heavily suggest it, checking it out. To me, it's one of my favorites of the year.
Yeah, I'll definitely give it a look before the end of the year then. Rambo was the only first time watch that I had this week. And the only other one that I'll mention here is Robocop. So I got the limited edition Arrow Blu-ray that's coming out this week, and I gave that a look in preparation for a Blu-ray review. And I don't know how many times I've seen Robocop over the years. Many times. And I can say that this is probably the best version that I've seen to date, quality-wise. So this is a new 4K restoration of the film. It didn't look bad to begin with. So if you have any of the other Blu-rays, I have another Robocop Blu-ray that came out several years ago that's like a triple pack that has 1, 2, and 3. And that didn't look horrible. Actually, you know what? I think I did complain about the quality of that one when I first got it. Now that I'm sort of remembering, And I even think that I got rid of the Blu-ray, like I sold it or something because I couldn't stand the quality. So this is like the ultimate version of RoboCop. The box, it's like it comes in this really nice box, and it has this like 80-page book with it. It comes with a poster, it has stickers. There's I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 lobby cards that come with it in the case. So and just so there's 3 cuts of the film on this too. It's a 2-discer. And on the first disc you have the director's cut, and then you have all of the supplements, and then the second disc has the theatrical cut and the made for the TV cut, which I love it when they include the TV edits of these movies.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, they do a really cool thing with this one where they give you a side-by-side comparison of all the cuts together. So you can see the differences like all together. So you can see the different things that are in the director's cut compared with the theatrical and the TV edit. So, because with the TV edit, obviously they removed a lot of the violent material, but they also redubbed a bunch of the stuff too. And so it's kind of interesting to go through and see how they changed things and what they changed, what they got rid of, and all of that. So that's awesome. The fact there's 3 versions of it. Supplements wise, this thing is loaded. It has all of the kind of previous bonus material from other DVD and Blu-ray releases. You have 4 commentary tracks, I believe. There's 3 commentary tracks on the director's cut. The one with Paul Verhoeven is that's an older one. That's from a previous release that was recorded in 2007. And then you have some newer ones on there too. And then you also have 1 commentary track for the theatrical cut that was with Paul Verhoeven and I believe Michael Miner or maybe Edward Neumeier, who were the writers. If you're a fan of RoboCop, I would highly recommend picking up this Arrow release because it is pretty impressive. Lots of there's deleted scenes. There's all kinds of making of things. Really good stuff in here. You like RoboCop, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, it's a classic. It's a classic.
I love me some RoboCop. The only other thing I have, and I don't really have much to say, it's just, watch the Thanksgiving classic that is Prisoners.
Oh, there you go.
I guess that's the tradition now. I still like it. It still holds up.
I still
like that movie.
I need to rewatch that. I haven't seen that since it was out. Okay, let's take a look at what we have in theaters this week. Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot coming out in general. So I think this segment's going to be pretty brief. We got Knives Out is getting a wide release on Wednesday the 27th.
There you go.
Are you excited for this?
I kind of am. I'm a sucker for a whodunit.
Me too. And Ryan Johnson directing it? Yes, please. Also,
yeah,
that
one of those,
great cast too.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Is as soon as you, throw that question out there, whodunit? I need to know. So, I saw a trailer for it. Now I need to know who did it.
Yeah, can't wait for that. I'll definitely be seeing that this week. We also have Queen and Slim coming out on the 27th as well.
I'm excited for that one as well.
Yeah, I thought that one would appeal to you. This is the one with Daniel Kaluuya and Jodie Turner-Smith.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, looks pretty good. Looks like a Bonnie and Clyde story. Actually, you know what? No, it doesn't. I was going to say Bonnie and Clyde story because it is about a couple who's on the run, but it's not really. The circumstances are quite different.
Yeah.
Either way, it looks quite good. So I'll be looking into that one as well. That's it for theaters. That's all we got.
I noticed when you said that, and then I realized that it's 2 movies.
Yeah, holiday weekend. Holiday weekend.
There you go.
On VOD, not much else going on here. On the 26th, we have The Dwelling, which is a horror movie. And then the 29th, we have an animated film called Away, which is I want to say French
Well,
And if I also remember correctly, I read that doesn't have any dialogue, but it was like made by just one dude, like animated by just one guy, and it took him like 5 years to do it.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
That's wild stuff.
After a mysterious crash landing, a young boy travels across an exotic island on a motorcycle, trying to escape a dark spirit and return home. And that's it for VOD. Blu-ray this week, we have a few more here. We have Robocop. This is the Arrow release that I mentioned. We got Angel Has Fallen from earlier this year. We got Where'd You Go, Bernadette? This is the Richard Linklater one with Cate Blanchett. Didn't really hear much about this one. Other than not great things. So we got Don't Let Go. This is a thriller. This is a Blumhouse thriller that came out earlier this year. This is another one that just kind of came and went. Not many people talked about it. Bloodstalkers from 1976. Mary from earlier this year. This is the one with the haunted boat starring Gary Oldman and Emily Mortimer. That's really bad. It's not really bad. It's pretty bad. Machine Girl from 2008 is getting a Blu-ray release. This one I would recommend looking into if you're looking for some crazy, extreme Japanese horror, really over the top, gory. Gags the Clown is also coming out. I despised this movie. I saw it at a festival, I think, in 2018, and boy, did I not like that one. Mr. Wrong, starring Ellen DeGeneres and Bill Pullman from 1996. Finally coming out on Blu-ray. Been waiting. Mr. Wrong.
Man, the things they decide to put out is bizarre.
It's the thing is, it also seems very random.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Like there seems to be no rhyme or reason to their releases. Like what made them finally decide to release Mr. Wrong on Blu-ray? Like, was there something? I would like to know.
People are just clamoring for it, I guess. People have been dying for Mr. Wrong.
That's pretty much it for Blu-ray. What about Criterion's?
We have two, both of them starring Betty Davis. You have Now Voyager from 1942, a bunch of new interviews and whatnot, and then All About Eve from 1950 with a lot of special features on that one. All About Eve, a bunch of commentaries, documentaries, episodes from the Dick Cavett Show, new interviews, another documentary. There's like 8 documentaries on this thing.
All right, cool. I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @filmpulse.net and @filmpulsekevin. And if you have a minute, consider giving us a review on your podcast platform of choice. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson, and we'll see you next week.